Matt Walsh and Tomi Lahren are both conservative political commentators, and they both have differing opinions on the current state of men in society. I have come to realize that I have more opinions on men in society than I do women, and there's a lot of reasons for that, and I'll get into it. But this is Matt Walsh reacting to Tomi Lahren, and I will then react to both of them. This is fun. This is YouTube Inception.
A clip from this segment went viral over the weekend with Tomi doling out some tough talk for young men who she says are lazy and feminized. Tomi has been on this subject for a long time, and we'll have more on that in a minute. But let's start with this most recent segment. Here it is. Listen.
It's a major problem. And, you know, Speaker Johnson has been talking about those maybe deadbeat folks that are on Medicaid, and maybe some of those folks are the stay-at-home sons. We don't know. But I'll tell you this, leave it to Gen Z to rebrand laziness and social awkwardness as something cutesy, like a stay-at-home son. They did much the same thing with quiet quitting, where you can go to work and do less. And if you call it quiet quitting, it's somehow better. But Laura, I got to tell you, this is also a big problem when it comes to, I think, declining birth rates, people not getting married and having children. You know, that's a big problem. They blame it on women. Well, look at what young women have to choose from. The pickings are slim. Yes, we might have a feminism problem in America, but it's the feminization of men. There are a lot of young women out there that want to get married. They want to have kids. They want to have stable families. But there are a lot of young men out there who want to live in mama's basement and order DoorDash. And therein lies a big part of the problem.
When it comes to staying in mommy's basement and ordering DoorDash, Tomi Lahren is very wealthy. She's successful. She doesn't fully grasp that the economy isn't good right now. I would like, personally, this is me breaking the fourth wall 3,000 times directly into my personal life, I would like nothing more than to be the primary provider in a relationship. But having a big boy job isn't as easy as it used to be. You've probably heard that the quality of life of people within my generation is going to be worse than those of our parents. We're going to have less opportunity to afford houses, to afford vacation, and by virtue of a failing economy or just generally a bad economy, it's going to be very hard for a man to provide for a woman in the stereotypical and attractive way that a woman likes to be protected and provided for. When it comes to protection, I need to be clear. Protection is done by someone with physical power and influence. People in general are overweight more now than ever. The majority of adults in America are overweight or obese by like a noticeable margin. When you are overweight, you are less attractive to most people. I don't care what you're thinking right now. I don't care, blah, 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 blah. That's the truth. That is actually scientifically, historically, biologically, past, present, future, country, planet, true. When you are overweight, your quality of life is just blatantly worse. You have worse energy levels. You are less healthy. You have a harder time attracting people. You have a greater chance of depression. And that's not just because of social interaction and people making fun of you because you're fat or not wanting to fuck you because you're fat. When you are overweight, you are physically more ill than a person who is on a healthy BMI. This is why it is so socially awkward to talk about weight and obesity. This is why. It is because most people are unhealthy. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to admit that they have a problem. We are quickly approaching Wally World, where everyone is fucking fat, and therefore it is something that is discussed less, because it's just an accepted part of society, being fat. Many modern men are lazy, and that does have to do with technological advancements. The masculine mental dopamine hit can be satisfied by numerous things. Male aggression via video games. Also, porn can satisfy men. I've played video games. I've looked at booby pics. I'm a hypocrite if I say that these things should be banned or something. I mean, maybe for younger people, I don't know. I don't have all the answers. But what I can tell you is, clearly, we have done everything in our power socially. as a society, men and women, young and old, to make women accepted in the workforce the best that is fucking possible. If it is worse today than it was before, then your head is in the earth. It is better today than it has ever been in history. You have tremendous opportunity to pursue a professional career. If you don't think so, you're full of shit.
So Tomi blames young men for the declining birth rates, saying that women want to get married and have children, but men would rather stay in mama's basement and order DoorDash. It's an interesting accusation coming from a 32-year-old woman who, as far as I know, doesn't have children. Her Wikipedia article at least mentions a chihuahua, but no human children. But in any case, Tomi, as I mentioned earlier, has been on this subject for a long time. She spent the last several years blasting men for their incompetence and their insufficiency. In fact, the last time she was featured on the Daily Cancellation was 5 whole years ago when she said this.
Now, I've often talked about the vacation of America and how men are no longer men. I talk to my mom about this a lot, and she says, well, maybe it's just the guys in Texas. Maybe it's just the guys in Los Angeles. It is not just the guys in Los Angeles, Nashville, Dallas, and they're not any better in the Midwest. They, quite frankly, I think they're trash all over this country in the age range of about 20 to, I think, about 55, maybe even 60. A lot of men are trash. A lot of men don't know how to treat women. A lot of men don't know how to really, quite frankly, pull their heads out of the sand and pay attention.
When you hear a woman talking like that, that is a signal to tell her to shut the fuck up. This is a signal that women shoot out. When they notice that there's no strong men around them, they will start to complain about the men around them. They're saying, help, help me, answer the call, make them yours. That is what a woman wants. She wants to be held. She wants to be protected. She wants to be provided for. She wants to have a good quality of life. That will never change. Not everyone is like that, but from a significant margin, healthy women are like that. That is your job now.
A lot of men are trash, she said 5 years ago. Men are trash all over this country, was her exact quote. And that's the kind of statement that if I said that about women, I would be denounced by both sides as a radical misogynist and likely domestic abuser. It's the kind of statement that you cannot say about any broad demographic except men.
This is why I disagree with both of them. He's like, well, if I said that about women, yeah, because men and women are different. That's just the nature of reality. Men and women are different. That is really fucking important to acknowledge. Men need to remember their differences. They need to stop being brainwashed to be submissive, fat, soy retards. I'm not the perfect fucking specimen of masculinity. We all need to do this. I need to be extremely clear and specific when I explain to you what the issue is in today's society and in today's dating world. It isn't women that are the issue. Uh-oh, what's happening? Is Paul a feminist? Is Paul about to go woke and vote for Kamala? No. The truth is, it is up to men to forge the world that they want to see. Everybody knows intrinsically and extrinsically, externally, that men have the power in a society, the physical power and the influence. You have the influence. You are a man. You are the fucking king. Go get what you want. Go take what you want. Go do what you want. You are a man. There is this thing that happens when men are around women, that they want to treat them a certain way. They want to be impressive to women that they're attracted to. They want to protect women, even if they don't optically need protection. At least those are the kinds of men I see in my life. If you think that women are too picky or are too bratty or are too liberal or too woke or aren't interested in having a traditional relationship or all these things, the first thing that I would do, is I would look at yourself. I would ask you, are you healthy physically? Do you have a good job? I know that the job part is a lot harder to control, but women want a guy with money. Shut the fuck up, that's the truth. An assertive man is an attractive man, a powerful man, an influential person who can shape his surroundings into what he wants. If there is someone around you who's disrespecting you, who you want to like you, who is not acting the way you want them to, daddy up. We've gone through over a decade of woke, putrid, dumpster fire garbage, forcing man to evaluate every single breath they take. The world around you sucks because you aren't going out there and making it good. You aren't going out there and forcing it to be awesome. You are the fucking king of your life. It is you. You are the only person. These are my 3 pieces of advice for a man to be successful in the dating world. 1, exercise, lose weight, build up your muscles. 2, get a job. It doesn't matter if it's good or not. Save money, make smart financial decisions. And 3, remember that 1 and 2 are fucking difficult. It's not going to be easy. None of this is ever going to be easy. You think losing weight's easy? You think it's easy to resist that cheesy fucking beanie cheesy pizza? And it's very possible that it'll only get tougher. If that is the case, you need to toughen up. I'm noticing that men who struggle to attract women never ask women out. They never really do it. And that was my number 1 issue. I would never ask girls out. Sometimes I'm still nervous about it. And that'll never go away. You're never going to be completely confident that you're going to succeed in every situation. You're not. You're not going to succeed in every situation. Laugh about your failures.
Well, let's go back to what Tomi said not 5 years ago, but 5 days ago on Laura Ingraham's show. Again, she said, quote, young women want families. Too many young men want DoorDash and mama's basement. Now, let's leave aside how insulting and dismissive this statement is. The much greater problem is that it's just simply inaccurate. In fact, polls have consistently shown for years now that young men are significantly more likely to desire family life than young women. There are more young men who want to start families than there are young women who want to start families.
Because women have recognized that they can have everything they want and more. We have outsourced being a man. I don't know if I've ever said this on this channel or anywhere else, but it's time. It's time that I say this because it's extremely important. We have outsourced being a man to other men. We have outsourced being protective, being a provider to other men. There are other men who are more powerful, more capable than you. You are a bitch in these women's eyes compared to them. You are a beta. They want an alpha. The only reason why women have so many options is because we let them. But when the pussification begins, then so does the rat utopia. The rat utopia, the end of human civilization.
The rat utopia experiment, conducted by ethologist John B. Calhoun, involved creating enclosed environments for rodents with unlimited food and water, but limited physical space. As the population grew, the increasing density led to a breakdown in social behaviors, resulting in a phenomenon Calhoun termed a behavioral sink. This was characterized by aggression, violence, disruption of mating, and other pathological behaviors. Ultimately, these populations declined to extinction despite the abundance of resources. A portion of the males became exclusively homosexual, while others became hypersexual. Additionally, females exhibited neglect towards their offspring, and infant mortality rate significantly increased, with some mothers abandoning or even killing their young. Many drew comparisons between these observed behaviors and social changes in human populations.
And according to a recent Pew study, 57% of men between the ages of 18 and 34 want to be parents someday. For women in the same age bracket, the number is only 45%. So yes, less than half of young women want to be mothers, as opposed to nearly 60% of young men who want to be fathers. And this is not just Pew Research Center claiming this. Multiple polls over the past 2 decades and across the world have found that young men are more likely to want children than young women. There was even a poll done in Nigeria a couple of years ago that found the same kind of gender gap. So this is a very consistent finding, which means that there just isn't any evidence to support Tomi's claim. In fact, the data tells us that it's young women who, more often, would prefer DoorDash and mama's basement. Social media is full of videos of young women glamorizing single life. And this is a whole genre of videos that we've played and talked about many times on the show. Here's just one recent example.
I never ended up with a good guy until I figured out how to truly love being single and doing things alone. I don't think we give enough credit to single women who love being single because there's still the whole childless cat lady trope out there. Like, you can enjoy life alone. You don't need somebody to bear witness to your joy to make it exist.
The only reason why you're capable of living a single life alone is because men are protecting you. The police are protecting you. Firefighters are protecting you. Businessmen are causing the economy to continue chugging along. Construction workers are building the world around you to keep you safe. There's a lot of progressive women like that who are still somehow under the impression that they're victims and they're oppressed. Even when they're wearing sweats on a talk show, drinking a macchiato, talking about how great their life is, that they don't need to rely on anyone ever. They are doing this because we let them. Tomi Lahren is saying men are pathetic, men are pussified, they are getting DoorDash all day, they're lazy and pathetic. It is a cry for help. The world that we've created for women is, turns out, not all it's cut out to be. Men are afraid to pursue. Women are afraid to meet.
There is a distinct difference, even between the young men who have given up on family life and the young women who have given up on family life. Like, even when you compare those two groups, the men and women who both say that they're not going to get married or have kids, there's still a difference. And the difference is this. The young men usually have given up on the idea of having a family despairingly because they think it's not an attainable goal. The young women give up on it happily because they think being childless is a path to personal empowerment and freedom.
The advancements of women's rights and progressivism and wokeism and all these things, they are not beneficial to men. They are not making men's life better. Men's life is getting worse. Men work to accomplish things in life, to acquire things in life. And if they're working and they're not accomplishing and acquiring these things, then life starts to feel a little weird. Why am I working right now? What am I working towards? The truth is, you're not acquiring the things that men used to acquire. You cannot provide for even yourself the way that men used to be able to. You aren't viewed as a man, a manly man, an asset. You are viewed as a hindrance. Women don't need you anymore. If they want you, they'll get you. You know, maybe. Primitively, women want men for protection and providing. Men have allowed the outsourcing of protecting and providing for women to be done by other entities. Modern men are less attractive physically. Modern men are less attractive economically. Modern men are less attractive because they just can't provide and protect the way other systems can better.
Now, in my pretty extensive experience talking to young men who plan to be alone and single forever, almost none of them are happy about it. I don't think I've ever heard any of them claim that they're empowered by this decision. They have resigned themselves to the fate because they believe, wrongly in my opinion, that they have no hope of ever winning the affection of a young woman who will love them and stay loyal to them for life. You know, I have no doubt that some young women have also given up on dating out of a similar sense of despair and hopelessness, but it seems much more common that they'll cast their decision as empowering and objectively good in and of itself. In other words, a man gives up on getting married and having kids because he feels like he has no choice. A woman gives up on it because she feels that giving up on it is the best choice. And I think both are wrong, but one is wrong for a worse reason. When pressed, Tomi won't admit that young women have any obligations at all in the first place.
Women have obligations in the first place, but we're in the second place now. We are in the future. We are in a reality where we have major companies, we have major corporations, we have a system of government that protects all people, men included. We have so many aspects of our life that have been streamlined into this factory conveyor belt of convenience and dopamine hits.
Women on the right covert feminists on the right are constantly and consistently talking about how they need to have privilege in society. I want men. Their version of masculinity is men who take care of us, men who protect us, men who do all of this. Those are all duties that men have towards women. Great. What are the duties that women have towards men? What are the duties that women have towards anything? What do men get out of this arrangement? What are we getting out of this arrangement? Can you tell me?
I mean,
well, I would argue that men innately should be protectors and providers.
Hang on one second. Let Tomi respond.
Most men are born that way.
Let Tomi respond to that, and then I'll come to you, Jez. And then Sean, you've been waiting patiently. So
most men are born to be protectors and providers. I can't imagine my dad saying, you know what, to my mom, you know what, I'm not going to be a protector and a provider unless you do this. That's not how real men operate. Real men are protectors and providers, and they marry women who hopefully have some virtue, but also bring a lot to the table as well, that are great mothers, great wives, caretakers of the home. There's nothing wrong with being a traditional wife and mother. You're misunderstanding me if you think that I think that women should just be out doing whatever they want. I think that there are gender roles that should be respected. But I don't think a man needs to get something out of it to be a manly man, a protector and a provider. If you think you need to get something out of it, I quite frankly don't consider you a real man.
Being a protector and a provider is good not just for you, but for other people. But something that is also not just good for other people, but for you, is to be assertive. It is to be dominant. It is to conquer the issues and the roadblocks in your life. Women being able to contribute into every aspect of male life is starting to contribute to the decline of male success. Women want to have their cake and eat it too. That is something that's very apparent and very obvious. That guy made a really good point, and she gave a really bad answer. Men and women need each other in order to have a working relationship. However, if one doesn't need the other, or if what we're seeing a lot nowadays, if neither need each other, then that's when the decline starts to happen. The day that we have sex robots, civilization is going to collapse. But you best be damn sure I'm going to be the first one pre-ordering one.
What are the duties that women have towards men? Tomi, who talks a lot about the duties men have towards women, could not list even one duty that goes the other way. She says men have the duty to be protectors and providers. I agree, by the way. I say that all the time. You're not going to find anyone who agrees more with that, or you're going to find very few conservative pundit types who, I can't believe I just called myself a pundit, who talk about that more often. But okay, so men, that's the obligation that men have to women. What obligations do women have to men? She could not provide even one obligation that women have towards men. Instead, she says that a man who expects to get something out of a relationship with a woman is not a real man, which means that in Tomi's world, no man in history has ever been a real man, because of course every man hopes to get something out of his relationship with a woman. Men are human beings. They're not robots. They're not machines programmed to do the bidding of their female operators. Men are human. They have their own dreams and goals and desires. That's okay. They're allowed to be people, aren't they? In fact, women who are in relationships should want that. Like, I can't imagine how it would make my wife feel if I said, you know, I don't really get anything out of this. It's not for me, though. I don't get anything out of this. That's insane. That's an insane attitude. Of course I should get something out of my relationship with my wife, and she should get something out of it too. If either of us can look at it and say, we're not getting anything out of this, then like something has gone massively wrong here. The fact that it's apparently shameful for a man to want anything out of a relationship at all, the fact that he could be shamed for expecting anything out of his girlfriend or wife at all of any kind, should tell you everything you need to know. The fact that he is supposed to have only obligations that go one way in the relationship and there's none that go back the other way, that should tell you something. And most of all, it tells you that feminism has seeped into the very core of our culture so deeply and so thoroughly that many conservatives harbor radically, insanely feminist beliefs without even knowing it. So this is my challenge to people like Tomi. You've lectured men enough. We've all heard the speech. Some of what you say about men has a degree of validity. Some is kind of bitter and resentful and doesn't have a lot of value. But what would have a lot of value is if you would, just once, deliver one of these harsh, no-nonsense speeches to the statistical majority of young women who have no desire to have children and become mothers and do their part to continue the human race. A lot of young women have never been told by anyone that they have any obligations or responsibilities of any kind. The very concept of responsibility is foreign to them. Certainly the concept of having responsibilities to men is not only foreign to a lot of young women, but anathema. Okay, there is not a young man who exists in the country who has not been told many times about the obligations he has to women. But there are many young women, millions, almost all of them, have never been told, ever, that they have any obligations to men. I mean, if they were told that, it would be like, it's heresy. It's blasphemy against what Katy Perry would call the divine feminine. I still don't know what that is, but, I guess it's blasphemy against that. Now, I don't know if those young women are eating DoorDash or not. I don't know if they live in their mother's basement or if they live somewhere else, but I do know that they exist. And there's a lot of them. And in fact, Tomi, it seems, is one of them. So I think she should focus on fixing that problem before she tries to fix men. And that is why Tomi Lahren is today, sadly, canceled.
We are allowing things to become much easier for women and much harder for men. Things are not easier for men in a lot of aspects of life. Making money, owning a home, providing. These things are a fucking fantasy. This is a fantasy. People are really comfortable right now, so something bad has to happen in order for people to get uncomfortable and then fix an issue like this. I don't want something bad to happen, and I don't think something bad is going to happen. Not for a while. Not for a long, long while. And again, I want to stress, I don't want something bad to happen. So this is the way it's going to be. Women are exceptionally comfortable in today's society, even though they have an immense amount of anxiety, apparently more than they used to. And a lot of that's because of technology and, taking every single interaction they see online as a red flag to hide in your basement. Run, 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 run. He's going to kill me. You will see that foreign women outside of America or have recently come to America are more susceptible to relationships that are more traditional and just fucking normal than the women who live here. Matt Walsh has one final little statement at the end that I don't agree with, though, because he's not really reading in between the lines. He's taking what she says very literally. This is a cry for help. Women are not going to fix this issue. I'm repeating myself at this point, but to sum this all up in one statement, I would say,
the Rat Utopia, the end of human civilization.